So, my Resonate people, if you haven't been served breakfast before, aka heartbreak, just thank your God. I've experienced it before, and how I survived, it was just God that helped me. Honestly, heartbreak is a terrible feeling to experience. It hurts in places that cannot be described. Some persons cannot handle the healing process, so they resort to plan B, rebound. Why do some people start a new relationship before emotionally healing from a recent breakup? Hello, beautiful people listening to the lady with the golden voice. This is Resonate with Tammy sending you warm hugs. This topic is dedicated to those people that survived the tsunami of heartbreak. No joke. Joining me to discuss this topic is my very good friend, Dee Taj. He's an entrepreneur in the IT cybersecurity industry. Hello, Dee. Hello, Dee.
Hello, Tammy.
Lovely to have you here.
Tammy. Yeah, thank you for having me on your platform. And hello, everyone. My name is Dee Taj, as Tammy mentioned. I'm an entrepreneur in the IT cybersecurity industry, and I have over 2 decades of experience in that area delivering solutions to our clients. Now, quick disclaimer. I'm not a psychologist or a relationship expert. However, I draw from a wealth of experience, I'd say first-hand and second-hand experiences. As in, I bring in a lot of insights from both my own experience and the experiences of those around me. And just like many of your listeners, Tammy, I've been through my fair share of relationship ups and downs, and I've learned a lot along the way, but I'm still learning.
Yeah.
And I also enjoy listening to, not just listening to, but sharing stories from others, which gives me a broader perspective on the topics we'll be discussing here today. So in light of that, I'm looking forward to sharing these insights with you today, and you and your listeners, I would say, and I hope you find them helpful and relatable. Again, thank you for having me on your show, Tammy.
Thank you for coming. So before we dive into the gist, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, Resonate with Tammy on Spotify and YouTube. Also, please turn on your notification bell so you'll be notified once I upload a new content. D. I remember when I was served breakfast years ago, I wanted the pain to go away. I looked for a quick fix, and my quick fix was a new relationship. Thank God for the good support system who stood by me during those tough times. The truth is that not everyone is strong enough to handle the pain and the healing process. Some persons never recover from a heartbreak. Some persons self-harm themselves by taking their lives or going into depression. So my first question to you, Dee, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to share your insight on relationships?
Happy to, Tammy. Again, a IT cybersecurity entrepreneur. It has zero to do with relationships, I know. But as we're all human, we've had experiences on this matter.
True talk.
At the very least, many of us, right? What I'm not is a psychologist or a relationship expert or a counselor. I'm just a regular individual, like a lot of us on this show, who just want to do a better job navigating these unpleasant experiences. Now, one of the most significant impacts on my perspective was a tough breakup I went through many years ago.
Okay.
It was a challenging time for me, but it taught me a lot about resilience.
Okay.
Taught me a lot about self-discovery.
Okay.
And I'm eager to share some of those lessons with you today.
Okay.
And Tammy, you're absolutely right about what most of us do to handle the pain, which isn't pleasant at all. We quickly jump into
quick fix, right? Relationship. Yes, exactly.
It's quite unfortunate that some of us even inflict harm on ourselves or even take, our own lives. Yeah. As a result of that deep depression that comes as a result of the heartbreak.
Yes, it's true. Very true. So, second question I'd like to ask you: what personal experience has had this most insignificant impact on your perspective about relationship?
Most notable of all for me was a long-term relationship that I was in. I thought it was something that would last forever. We did almost everything together. We traveled, went to the cinema, shared experiences with mutual friends, even met her family, right? Traveled with her family. On my birthday, her family would would take a photo or even video wishing me a happy birthday, or they would send me a postcard with each member of the family saying one thing or the other on the card. I felt like a part of the family.
Okay.
She was my family, I thought. When it ended, she ended it. How could I possibly end something like that, right? I felt completely lost and heartbroken. I couldn't eat or sleep for days. Nothing made sense to me. How could she end something so perfect? I thought. I pleaded, I begged, but nothing worked.
Did you see it coming?
I didn't, right? The thing is, she was moving to a new country.
Okay.
And I even said I would drop my life here and move over to that country and learn the language if I must.
Wow.
Just so that I could be with her. But her mind was already made up. Anyway, I had to heal.
Okay.
No, I needed to heal because I couldn't find myself anymore.
Okay.
I took up hiking. I took up capoeira, which is a Brazilian martial art.
Okay.
I dated casually.
Okay.
And most of what I did during that time was something that wouldn't remind me of the past relationship that I just got out of.
Okay.
And it became a therapeutic outlet for me. Now, this period of self-reflection and I would say rediscovery helped me a great deal to understanding of, one, loving yourself.
Yes.
And personal. It taught me that being in a relationship shouldn't define my self-worth, and that it's essential to maintain my own identity and interests. And Tammy, I'd say it took some time, right? A very long time, but you have to take that first step.
Did you give yourself a time limit? Or you said to yourself that this is the time I want to heal, this is the time I want to process this, after this time I move on? Did you?
No, I think that would be very unfair to yourself. And in all this, we have to be kind to ourselves, right? People have different timelines. Some people, they could take 2 weeks, some people could take a month, some people could take, several months. So it all depends on the individual.
Okay, all right. So in what way can a new relationship serve as a distraction?
That's a great question. Generally speaking, relationships usually require attention and energy. Would you agree?
True.
Yeah.
So much energy.
A new relationship, exactly. So a new relationship can help you shift that focus away from the pain and the sadness of the breakup.
Okay.
A quick fix, as you mentioned earlier, right? That's what we would call it. But people often crave, and when I say people, that includes me, right? In my past experience, we crave the comfort and support that comes from being with someone new after a tough breakup.
Okay.
So being with that person, that new someone, can provide a comforting distraction. It can perhaps boost self-esteem and help you feel less alone during a difficult time. I'll give you an example. Now, after that painful breakup, I felt incredibly lost, right?
Okay.
I felt lost, I felt lonely, I felt heartbroken. And not long after, I started seeing someone new. It felt exciting, refreshing to be with someone different. And it temporarily took my mind off the sadness that I was feeling.
Would you call that a quick fix?
A lot of time together.
Would you call that a quick fix?
It was a quick fix. It was a quick fix. But there's a twist, right? So I'm just trying to share what my experience was, and hopefully, as I mentioned earlier, it's relatable to our listeners and to the audience. So we spent a lot of time together. We went out to dinners. We went out for dinners, and we watched movies. We engaged in fun activities. All these new experiences kept me busy and helped me avoid the emotional void left by my previous relationship. It
Okay.
was like a breath of fresh air. It gave me a sense of, I would say, normalcy and happiness again. I will say this though, while these distractions can provide temporary relief, it's crucial, it's very important to ensure that the new relationship is based on genuine interest and compatibility rather than solely serving as a means to avoiding dealing with that emotional aftermath of a breakup. Does that make sense?
It does.
Otherwise, you'll find yourself, you'll be carrying one baggage from one relationship to the other.
It won't be fair to the other person too.
100%.
Okay. Next question I want to ask. Do you think men process heartbreak differently from women? Because when it happened to me, my God, my sisters were around, my friends were around, they held my hands, they took me to spa, I went shopping with them and all that. I just talked about it to make me feel good. Is that the same with men? Do you guys hold each other's hands and cry?
I think that's a great question. And you're exhibiting what a lot of women, would do. So to answer your question from my perspective, I would like to argue, yes, men process heartbreaks differently from women. Okay. I know, men and women process. So let me take a step back. I would say individual experiences can vary widely between men and women, right? And I'd like to include a caveat that the differences may be influenced by cultural norms, or your personal upbringing, or it could be individual personality traits. So we're not all wired the same way, as I mentioned earlier, right? Okay. So generally, women might be more likely to express their emotions openly, and do what you did. Like they seek support. You will seek support from friends and family, right? So for example, after a breakup, you call your best friend, you cry, you talk through your feelings, and just find comfort in sharing and receiving that emotional support, right? Yes. And you might even go as far as journaling or even seeking therapy, right? Or you might even spend more time reflecting on the relationship and understanding your emotions, right? Sure. On the other hand, men might process their emotions more internally due to, I would say, societal expectations about masculinity, right? Now, which, those expectations, those societal expectations, essentially discourage men from showing vulnerability, right? So we end up internalizing our feelings, or only share them with certain close friends, if at all. Some of us men might even engage in behaviors like drinking, right?
Or I wanted to say that
as a way to distract themselves. So I'll give you an example. So after my last breakup, I initially kept my feelings to myself, right? Trying to appear strong and unaffected. Instead of talking about my emotions, I threw myself into work, right? I was in like work, and my hobbies, like physical activities, just to cope with the pain. Okay. Like I mentioned, I did capoeira, I was going hiking, going to the gym, participating in group activities at the gym, just using these as a way to distract myself from the pain. Okay. I didn't reach out to my friends as much though, partly because, as I mentioned earlier, maybe upbringing or personal traits, I just felt uncomfortable discussing my feelings.
Sharing.
And partly because I just thought I should just get over it. Like
be a man.
Yeah. So it took longer for me to come to terms with the breakup because I wasn't actively dealing with my feelings. So yeah, we process heartbreaks very differently from women for the most part. But the important thing is finding a balance and finding a healthy distraction for healing.
Why might someone feel pressure to move on quickly after a breakup?
Another great question. So there are a plethora of reasons, I believe. I can share my top 2 or 3, if that's okay.
Oh, please share.
So there's that fear of loneliness. It's real. It's that debilitating fear that can drive you to seek a new relationship quickly.
Okay.
And that idea of being alone, could be daunting. And then starting that new relationship would seem like, I think the operative word here is quick fix to fill that void. And for me, I also wanted to prove to myself and others that I was strong and I could move on easily. And then just seeing that my ex, moved on quickly only added to the pressure. She ended the relationship. Like, okay, why am I still in this rut when she has already moved on? So it felt like a race to show who could recover faster.
Exactly. I mean? Yeah, I understand.
So that was one. Now, the second one, I would say external pressure from friends and family, who would encourage you to move on quickly. Either, I would say it's usually out of concern or
a place of love.
A desire to see you happy again. Exactly. Right. It's a well-meaning encouragement, but subconsciously leads to pressure. So I kept hearing from friends and family that, Dee, just get back out there and stop dwelling on the past, things like that. So that's the external pressure from friends and family. And I would say the third bit, which of course we've had on quite a bit, is avoiding that pain, right? So as I mentioned earlier, being in a new relationship can serve as that distraction from the emotional pain of the breakup. So, we've all been guilty of this. Now, rather than dealing with the hurt, we jump into that new relationship to avoid confronting the pain, that heartbreak, or to fill that void. Now, what I realized soon enough was that these pressures they caused me to rush into a new relationship for the wrong reasons. It wasn't about finding genuine connection, but about seeking validation and avoiding the pain of being alone.
Yeah.
So taking a step back, I focused on healing and understanding my own needs first.
Exactly.
And that ultimately made me stronger and more ready, I would say, for a healthy relationship in the future.
Wow. I just had to take a pause because what you said to me resonates with me totally. I totally understand. How does the desire for a quick fix influence the decision to start a new relationship?
It's a good question. So when you're dealing with the aftermath of a breakup, as we know, the pain can be overwhelming, right?
Yes, it is.
It's natural to look for something to ease that pain again. And I remember one of my breakups, I jumped into a new relationship very quickly because I wanted to avoid the loneliness and sadness. It felt good initially because the attention and affection were comforting. However, I realized later that I hadn't fully processed my emotions from the previous relationship, and it ended up affecting the new one. So I've seen, friends make the same mistake, and it often results in repeating the same patterns and issues from the past.
Sure.
So by recognizing these influences, I believe I believe we can better understand our motivations and ensure that we're making healthier choices when considering new relationships after a breakup.
Thank
Does that
you.
answer your question?
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. So finally, what strategy can help ensure emotional readiness before entering a new relationship?
Heals all wounds. Take time to heal. Allow yourself time to grieve. Give yourself permission to feel and process the emotions from the breakup. Now, I know that we're not all wired the same way. And I'll keep saying that, right? We're not all the same. So if you cannot take the time to heal, seek support. It's okay to not be okay. Right? Which is one of the things you did, right? You talk to your friends, you talk to your family, you share your feelings with trusted friends and family for support and perspective. Yeah. You can even go further, get professional help. You can see a therapist, you can see a counselor, if you must, to help you work through your emotions and then give you the insights you need into how ready you are for a new relationship.
Sure.
Right? There's also another key step, like reflecting on the past relationship. I spent time thinking about what worked and what didn't. And I identified patterns that I wanted to avoid in the future. For example, I realized that perhaps I hadn't set clear boundaries, which led to misunderstandings and resentment. So learning from these experiences has been invaluable to me, right? And if we don't learn from these experiences, we'll find ourselves repeating the same mistakes.
Yes, true.
And then the next one for me, I would say, is self-care, right? So this one played a big role in my healing process. As I mentioned before, I started exercising regularly.
Okay.
And picked up other physical activities like hiking, capoeira. So these activities not only improved my physical health, but also boosted my mental well-being and self-esteem. And I also learned one key thing, Tammy.
Tell me.
I learned to enjoy my own company, essentially spending time with myself.
That's very important.
Yeah. So that helped me become more independent and self-reliant. So I would say be kind to yourself, right? And finally, I took the time to evaluate my motivations for wanting to be in a new relationship.
Okay.
I asked myself, why do I want to get into a new relationship again?
Okay.
Right? And I had to make certain it wasn't just about avoiding loneliness or seeking validation. Just by being honest with myself, I felt confident that I was ready to invest emotionally in a new and healthy relationship.
Okay.
So we're not wired the same way, but I believe these strategies can help ensure that you are emotionally prepared for a new relationship, and it increases the likelihood of a healthy and I would say fulfilling connection in your new relationship.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Dee, for coming on today's podcast and Raising with Tammy. I really appreciate. Dee.
Thank you, Tammy, for inviting me to be part of this wonderful conversation. It's been an absolute pleasure sharing my insights and experiences with all of you.
Thank
I
you.
hope that our discussion today has provided some valuable perspectives and advice that you can take with you. And Tammy, I also would like to extend my gratitude to all your listeners for tuning in.
Thank you.
Remember, it's okay to not be okay after a breakup.
Exactly.
And it's okay to take your time to heal and to prioritize your own well-being before jumping into a new relationship. So self-love, self-care, they're both essential for building healthy, fulfilling connections. So I hope you found our talk helpful and relatable. Thank you so much for listening. And Tammy, thank you once again for having me on your show.
Thank you. I appreciate. My Resonate people, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you would like to support our podcast, please share it with your friends, post it on your social media, and follow me on Spotify and YouTube at Resonate with Tammy. Thanks again, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.